Hi, welcome to our presentation. Diversifying the video club experience. So, hi, we're from a small town in Georgia, Milledgeville, Georgia. On my way to work, probably I pass more cows than I do people. So that's like where we're coming from. So really having some place we're so spread out, and our MAT program is spread out all throughout the state, that having some way to get the students collaborating together, that's what we're after. And we want them, we run a cohort system, and so we want the cohort, especially when you're online, and mostly asynchronous online, you want them to interact with each other and get to know each other. And so what we did was we combined our MAT students, who are very diverse, with our undergraduates, who are mostly 95% white female, and we had them collaborate in the video club experience together. So that way they could interact with each other, and I think they would grow more comfortable and learn from each other also. Where are you from?
California State University. California State.
Cal State Northridge. Very good. And we know Dr. Williams back here. She's one of our favorites.
Yeah.
And this is my wife.
Yeah. And I'm not a college professor.
But she is a teacher. But she is a teacher.
So it's my 33rd year. So.
All right.
So we are so glad that you have joined our presentation on diversifying the video club experience. And I'm Roddran Grimes, and I'm so thankful that I have my teaching partner, Dr. Stephen Wills, with us here today to share our experience with you. So what we want to do is cover how we manage the video club experience and aligning it with the Council for Exceptional Children's high leverage practices. And the acronym is CEC, which is our professional organization for special education students. But this presentation will focus on the video club experience that our Bachelor of Science students and our Master of Arts in Teaching students had. Two totally different populations of students. And then we're going to cover future plans. So the CEC high leverage practices cover and are organized around 4 aspects of teaching practice. And they are collaboration, which is how do our teachers work with one another, both our special education teachers, our general education teachers, even our paraprofessionals, so collaboration in general.
And that was one of the reasons why we wanted to combine the groups, so that they would feel comfortable collaborating with diverse peers. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we get in our own little silos of people that we work with, and that we need to see what other school systems are doing, see what teachers from different areas and different ages, different ethnicities, we need to get used to each other.
Indeed.
To collaborate.
Indeed. And then with the assessment of our students to make sure that they are learning what we want them to acquire as far as the knowledge and training that we have in mind for them. And we also want to make sure that they are progressing in their social, emotional, and behavioral aspects of living, and again, knowledge acquisition. And then also as far as our actual delivery of instruction, our actual teaching practice. So.
All right, so the reason why we focused on the high leverage practices is because I think if you get into a situation where you're too generic with your sharing of videos, that you're just kind of have a situation where the blind's leading the blind, all right? So we wanted to make it a little bit more succinct in what we were wanting them to accomplish. And so we did it around the CEC high leverage practices. Specifically, these are the high leverage practices that we had them working on, okay? Questioning and student opportunities to respond. So that's specific. And so the kids, sorry, they're my kids, the teacher candidates, they can give them a clip that deals with this specific HLP, And that way they'll feel comfortable sharing what's working, what's not working, and not just too general, okay? Positive classroom environment, I mean, that's what we all need to be working on. And so, and I want them to be comfortable with each other if they have problems, that they, be a true video club that supports each other rather than overly critical. Activating background knowledge, that's a specific part of a lesson that I think is the most important part of the lesson, so we're just focusing on that part of the lesson. Feedback and responding to feedback, that's specific aspects I think that our teacher candidates can improve upon too.
Now, I work primarily with our Master of Arts in Teaching program, so that is 100% online. And so regardless of how, the population, be it our Bachelor of Science students or our MAT students, the video club experience worked the same, basically. So the teacher candidates are divided into groups of 3 or 4. And for example, this is mine. This is the image of how I did it. And I just had my roster and I just broke them up in the order that would make it fit, either 3s or 4s. And the groups stay the same the entire semester. And Dr. Wills had grouped his Bachelor of Science students by similar classroom settings.
So if you're a P2 or 3-5 or 6-8 or 9-12, I put people together so that way they could have a little bit of expertise in what they were sharing and giving feedback for. Now,
the cool thing about Edthena was that it allowed us to share the videos within groups. So the Athena platform allowed us to upload, the students uploaded their own videos, and then we as administrators would give permission for the students to view each other's videos.
Yeah, and it allows us to put them into groups that are built in so that just their group can see the video.
And students were also able to upload artifacts. So their lesson plans, any supportive material, they could just upload it within the Athena platform.
Yeah. Also, there's a video library portion of it. And so we got the students to, all right, students are going to be easy on each other. All right, they're not going to really give good feedback sometimes because they're going to say, oh, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great. And so we wanted to avoid that situation by practicing a little bit to calibrate them scoring videos. And so we'll go to the library, we'll look at some past students who they're just typical students, not overly great or overly terrible. And we get them to score, and I say, all right, you use that same scoring technique when you're viewing each other. Because if you don't, they'll just say, oh, you're Rosie, I'm Rosie too. And we know that's not the case. So we want an authentic situation. It's good experience for them to view other other teaching videos anyway.
Indeed. And so what also was nice about the Athena platform is that it allows comments. So students are able to stop, and when they see something that they want to address, and you can go in and type the comment, and it's time-stamped. So that makes it very nice. So when someone sees an action, they're able to comment upon it immediately.
So there's no question about what they're talking about or where they're talking about. It just works. And
it also, the Athena platform allows us to score using rubrics based on INTAS standards.
So we're mostly doing the CEC high leverage practices, but you can map that to the INTAS standards pretty easily. And so we can score their teaching based on the INTAS standards.
Another nice thing about the Athena platform for us was that since lesson plans are able to be shared, the students who are viewing the videos would know exactly what the lesson is about. So they would have an understanding of the context of the lesson. And as we mentioned, the teaching clips are shared within the group, and then the students would meet and discuss the clips and reflect on what happened.
Yeah, each other's, and then there's a self-reflection at the end.
So I'm going to share a clip of one of my MAT students reflecting on his Athena experience. This is 1 minute of his video.
Reflection of the experience of how the use of Athena technology has been helping me through this program. One of the biggest things that I've had has been watching other teachers teach. A lot of times we go through and we talk and we message back and forth and we ask each other questions about what things they do and what seems to be effective and things that don't work and all that stuff. But a lot of that is just us talking to each other, either through text or email or on the phone, whatever it is. But the biggest thing I think, the biggest thing about it is when we're in the groups and we're going through and we're watching other teachers teach, that part is the most impactful, I feel like, for me, because I'm one of those people that you could tell me that you do you do this, or you use this tactic, or you do these certain things in a group or during your instructions, but until you actually go through and see it, you don't really understand the impact that it has either on the class or in your teaching.
So that was his Athena experience. So next.
All right. So our undergrads and our graduate students, they were doing the video clubs a bit differently. And so combining them together took a little bit of effort. Typically our undergrads, what they did is they met face-to-face, in face-to-face groups. And they talked about each other's videos. It really wasn't done online very much. They just would bring in their clips and talk about them. And 5-10-minute clips, real short clips. But their MAT students, they were more in the form of a lesson study where they would view longer clips and that the clips would be viewed in advance. And so we kind of did a compromise of the two with our final product, what we ended up doing.
Yes, indeed. And as far as the structure of how the video club happened, the students would have two forms. One was a self-reflection form. The other one was a peer debrief form. And so here's an example of how one student filled out the peer form, where the question was, what did you notice when viewing the videotape lesson of your peer? And someone just pointed out, he started the lesson with the goals of the lesson. He made it very clear what the objective was before he started going through the lesson. The students had notes so they could preview the material. And so just going through in that respect. Then, what suggestions or advice did you give your peer? And so continuing on in that vein. So, and then continuing on for the self-reflection, what did you notice when viewing the clip of your lesson? Well, I was out of the camera a lot. So really looking at that video helped that student to improve his or her delivery of the lesson in the future.
Yeah. It's interesting how my peers saw things I didn't see.
Yes.
And that's the purpose of the whole thing.
Indeed, indeed. So, in going on more of the self-reflection form.
All right. So for our current pilot that we've done, so our undergraduate population, like I said, 95% white females, traditional age college students. Our MAT group is very much a balanced mix of ethnicities, genders, mostly older students, a lot of paraprofessionals, and also a lot of second career people who are going into teaching now because there's such a teaching shortage that we have a lot of provisional teachers in Georgia. And so they're coming into our MAT program. So we're really getting very diverse, all walks of life people in there. And so this was like what I handed to you, was the one that we used when we combined them together. We focused it on the identified classroom practice would be the high leverage practice for number 2. And then we also had for peer debrief guide, personal debrief guide. We would give them a rubric item for the high leverage practices. And so they would just get whatever high leverage practices they were focusing in on that clip, and they would score each other using that rubric. You know, we would like to do some like pre-post scoring with the rubrics and get some good data with it, but this is the pilot right now.
Okay, and here's an example of the rubric so that you can see, and highlighted here for HLP 8 and HLP 22. And moving on, for the current pilot, our meetings were held in the evenings on Zoom as a whole group, and then we put them out into breakout rooms for the video club experience itself. And again, the videos were viewed in advance on Athena for each group.
So we didn't make them view it during the sessions themselves. We trusted that they would view it in advance, since we had such a big number. We didn't really want to.
And then the candidates completed their peer debrief forms and then shared them. And then also the candidates completed the rubric on the area of focus. Okay?
All right, so our undergrads, just some of their reflections about the experience of working with each other, working with the MAT students. Sometimes it's hard to collaborate with older teachers. It was really the age thing. They get it. Okay, you got to remember, this is the pandemic group, all right? And so they haven't been in schools as much as they needed to, okay? We were doing lots of things virtually. Virtual teaching is not the same as face-to-face teaching. The amount of collaboration is just very limited. They needed exposure to older teachers. They are intimidated still by older teachers, even though they're juniors in college. And so they, sometimes it's hard to collaborate with old teachers because they're just, they don't feel like they're as good. And so sometimes we feel our thoughts don't matter. These teachers really listened to what we had to say. It was very positive. So it was the collaboration in itself, I think, was a positive experience. Mm-hmm. They're funny, real relaxed, very open to sharing. Yeah, we got a laid-back MAT group. And sometimes we have a uptight undergraduate group. Okay. But
okay.
All right, some undergraduate students are asked about something they were surprised about. I was surprised we're all having similar issues. I mean, the MA teachers have been teaching full time, they have more experience, and we're all working on the same things. So it's kind of like an eye-opener to them. Wow, this person's having the same struggles I'm having. Wow, this person we're kind of all in this together. It's like, even though they're older, they're not really master teachers. We're all working on it. And I think it helped our undergraduates realize, yeah, teaching's tough. Mm-hmm. I was surprised by how honest everyone was. Too many times we don't want to hurt each other's feelings, so we don't correct what we know is wrong. Definitely true of the undergraduates when they're like looking at each other's videos. I think that's why doing the calibration video helped a lot. And the MAT students, like I said, they're a chill bunch, and they'll tell each other like it is. And I think it was refreshing for the undergraduates to see, wow, yeah, we can tell each other the truth and our feelings won't get hurt.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean we don't love each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, so the MAT students, they were asked what they learned. They were really creative with their technology. I need to play with it and learn. So they were impressed with the technology, which is not real surprising. We have technology natives. A lot of our MAT students, like I said, are second career, and so they're learning the technology. We're as good at teaching as they are, probably better. It was really interesting how the MAT students were kind of the leaders of the groups. That they were the mentors to the undergraduates more than I expected it to be. And I'm not sure I asked the best questions as to why that is, because it kind of surprised me. But I know age was a factor. But I don't know. We'll work on that for next time around.
Indeed.
If you have any ideas, let me know.
Okay. Now, as far as the MAT students, my MATs, when asked, they were very honest again about their thoughts. And some of the comments were, the undergraduates are so young, but they'll get there. And the undergraduates need a little life experience, but I enjoyed the conversations. And I remember when I was that enthusiastic. So here's a second video clip on one of my MAT students reflecting on her Athena and the video club. So here's just 1 minute.
I think that the Athena platform that we use at Georgia College State University is great. And I say that because when I'm teaching my lessons, a lot of times it's hard for me to, I don't want to say see myself, because of course see myself, but just get an idea of what the kids are seeing on the other side. So it allows me to get that feedback that I need to improve my lessons. It lets me see what I'm strong at. It also lets me see where I'm weak at, which me personally, I feel like I need more improvement on the management piece, and that's something I'm working on daily. I also like how I can receive the feedbacks from our professors. I think that's very helpful. One of my professors pointed out that I accidentally messed up on my management piece where I had asked all the students to be quiet, but I allowed a student who spoke out of turn to speak. So it showed that I wasn't holding all my students accountable at the same standards for what I had asked.
Okay, so that just gives some insight into how we have used Edthena to manage our video club. And the themes.
So the undergraduates, they appreciated the classroom experience of the MAT students. They thought they benefited from, and they appreciated their experience. The undergraduates, I think they gained comfort talking with older teachers and found common issues discussed that they were surprised with. In the MAT students, they appreciated the technology of the undergraduate students and know that that was something that they needed to work on. And it really did impress me that in MAT students, they considered themselves the mentors to the undergraduates as time went on. That was also something I wasn't anticipating. But shoot, them getting leadership skills is always a good thing.
Indeed, indeed. So some noteworthy findings. Age and experience differences between the MATs and undergraduates were more so the dominant theme and were seen as significant factors. And as expected, the racial and ethnic differences were not discussed by either group and were not reported at all. So, yeah.
I mean, part of the purpose was to collaborate with diverse peers. But when we asked follow-up questions, and I don't know if it was the truth or whether we didn't ask the questions in the best way or it's a sensitive issue that no one really wants to talk about, but they didn't rate the diversity as being a big part. I mean, the ethnic and racial diversity as being a big part of their video clubs. But I think there's something there. I just don't know how to find it yet. So again, that's question number 2. Something we could figure out.
And so again, the undergraduates viewed the experience as worthwhile, but they didn't like the Zoom meetings at night.
Yeah. So I mean, we talked about all good. We will have one slide on the bad. The undergrads, they kind of enjoyed during the day. They didn't like meeting at night with the MAT students after school. So it's kind of like, yeah, it was good. I don't like meeting at night.
Right.
But hey, I'm still the professor and I have control over them to a certain extent. But it was interesting.
And see, for me, with my MAT students, my course is 100% online. It's asynchronous. I just put the assignment out there, and they do it by the due date. So I don't have those issues at all. So I like the fact that my lessons are asynchronous. My course is asynchronous.
And so having the Zoom session, they were kind of, really,
Okay.
But but both sides saw the benefit to them.
So as far as the future, this month, the EDS students, our education specialist students, will participate in instructional coaching with my MAT students using Athena. And because the EDS students need leadership and instructional coaching skills, and the MAT students, again, being provisional teachers, need confidential instructional coaching covering areas of their choosing. So that's another level. I, as their professor, provide the coaching, but they get it from the student peer level as well.
So we have all these programs in place, and so instead of each program being a silo, let's utilize the different programs we have. Each of them has their strengths and needs, and if we can meet each other's strengths and needs by working across programs, that'd be great.
And I love
So, we want our EDS students to be leaders, and so we teach them instructional coaching so that, not formal certified instructional coaching, but we teach them instructional coaching techniques because they'll likely be mentors to new teachers who are coming into the school. And so why not practice that skill with mostly first-year teachers?
Indeed.
And here we're working with both online programs, so they won't have a problem meeting with each other on Zoom.
So in the last 2 minutes of our session, are there any 2 minutes? Any questions? Any questions at all?
All right. And y'all can email us if you want any of our materials, you want any of our support stuff. Don't hesitate to ask.
Please do. We're here for you. If you want our video club experiences, if you have questions about how we at Georgia College utilize Athena, we are more than happy. We are resources for everyone. So, we thank you for just coming to our presentation. And that's it.
All right. No more questions?
No questions.
All
Okay.
right.
The comment.
I was there when you guys started using Athena, and just to see how you've grown for the last 2 years is amazing. So congratulations on that work.
Well, you provided all our training and you set up
Right.
everything. And
Yes.
They provided the training.
Our former department chair is Dr. Williams, and we are
So
so
it was a
appreciative.
surprise. We had no idea she was walking in today.
So she's the one that set up the Athena,
And kind of told us all what we could do with it.
Indeed.
And really set everything in motion.
Yeah, it was kind of like, we got to do this to solve a Band-Aid, and you guys have just taken it.
Thank you.
We purchased it for the pandemic,
Right.
but we'll be using it past the pandemic for sure.
Indeed. All right then. Well, thank you so much for coming to our presentation, and continue to have a wonderful
Have a great day.
AACTE conference. You're welcome. Bye-bye, everybody.